My fellow Americans, victory is winning for our country. Victory is not winning for our party. America is again winning each and every day. Our economy is the envy of the world. Tonight, I ask you to choose greatness. We must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good. The proper wall never got built. I will get it built. We are born free, and we will stay free. An economic miracle is taking place in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations. I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit late-term abortion. America will never be a socialist country. Members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the Wright Brothers. We appreciate you taking this time to come back and join us once again. First and foremost, shout out to all of our subscribers in the tribe. We couldn't do this without all of y'all's support, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. If this is your first time watching, please feel free to press that subscribe button. Membership in our tribe is completely free. And each and every one of you who touches that button and subscribes and joins our community helps us truly reinforce the message that identity politics is dead. Now, this week, we had the famed State of the Union address that President Trump delivered, the 96th address that has been delivered to the nation. And what we really want to talk about today is really the dichotomy between its reception between those who were present on the Democrat side and those present on the Republican side as well. As we know, this has been building for quite some time. This Union address was actually supposed to be given a week ago. But due to some chicanery on the part of Nancy Pelosi, she ensured that this would at least be delayed by at least 1 week. But now it actually happened, and we want to talk to you really about how to really walk away from this and understand what really took place. And for more on that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Eddie now.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad we finally had it. I was actually going back and forth. I'd heard some talk leading up to it about whether the State of the Union was really necessary or not. Maybe it should go the way of the dodo and not be something that's emphasized at all. But as I was thinking about it and as I was watching the State of the Union, I think it's something that we should keep as a fixture of American politics because it is so unique. It is a political theater in a non-campaign setting on the biggest stage. I've always been one to follow the State of the Union address, whether I voted for the man giving the address or not. I think it's important to kind of get a sense of where he's coming from, what his agenda is based on current events, not just on campaign promises, and see kind of where his head is at and the response of the American people moving forward. So I'm very happy that it happened, and it's kind of interesting. We hear from the other side of the aisle all the time about Trump is a divisive figure, and everything that comes out of his mouth is divisive rhetoric and meant to drive Americans apart. And it's weird. We had the episode, our last episode, talking about media perception and the fake news frenzy, how the media tries to frame things sometimes. And then when you step back and look at the bigger picture or just take a closer look, you see that the reality is either the exact opposite or not exactly the case. Yes, Trump has said some divisive things. So has every American president in history. But what I saw in the State of the Union address was not some raving lunatic just being bombastic from his bully pulpit and trying to say every sexist, racist, bigoted thing that came to his head. No, what I saw was someone who walked into a hostile environment, a House of Representatives that is controlled by the Democrats. It's tantamount to walking on an opponent's home field in football and getting the home crowd to cheer for you at the end of the day, because there was true joy in the chamber. He gave them chances, gave the opposition chances to cheer for bipartisan things, and even for some things that he's stumped for all along that maybe they didn't feel like applauding for, but you still saw them rise to their feet anyway, especially when it came to issues like the fact that females have made such great strides in this country, from unemployment rates being so low, entrepreneurial rates being so high, and of course representation in the legislature, which drew a rousing cheer, which even Trump enjoyed and chiding them for a little bit. But it was appropriate for them to have that sort of response, and it was a cool moment. And for all the rhetoric about Trump being so divisive, whenever I hear the man speak, I just don't see it. And I don't think any American who actually watches objectively, especially on the State of the Union address or any such address like what we saw, can honestly come away thinking that he's the most divisive figure in American political history, as we sometimes hear from people on the left-hand side of the aisle. Now, of course, there was the usual partisan pot banging that happens, where one side of the room stands up while the other sits on their hands. And the worst part of that was, I feel it was a really, really strong point that Trump was making about how important it is to protect our innocent lives. And he was referring to abortion and specifically the abortion law that was recently passed by the state of New York, which legalized late-term abortions up to the point of delivery. And Trump was right to take him to task about that. And I feel like the way he phrased it, any normal person would agree with him, but because partisan politics were at play, that prevented the Democratic side from embracing their more humane instincts, for lack of a better way of putting it. So that was one part that stood out. But overall, what I noticed was there were so many instances where he brought people together, whether it be from the World War II veterans that he honored at the beginning and at the end. You had the St. Jude's cancer patient who got several standing ovations. You had the Auschwitz survivor who got happy birthday sung to him in the chamber. I'm not sure. I'm not super familiar with past State of the Union addresses, but I'm not sure I've ever seen that happen before. I don't know if that has happened before. It was spontaneous and just joyful. And I think that is something that overall we should all take away from it, regardless of your personal politics. Sometimes it's good to step back and take in an event for what it is. And what this was American political theater at its very finest, and Trump delivering a heartfelt and at times touching address. And like I said, I did not agree with everything Obama ever said or did, but I did enjoy his State of the Union addresses. And I don't think anyone who can objectively say that they enjoyed Obama's can say they dislike Trump's for saying basically similar things and bringing the room together as best they can. So, Damani, I know you have some thoughts to bring on it as well, specifically regarding the so-called rebuttal. But that's basically my takeaway from the whole night was I think if more people were objective and gave Trump a chance and gave any president a chance in that particular setting, you might be surprised by the reaction that you come away with. Damani, take it away.
No, you're right. And I think you bring up a valid point and a very good point that is often forgotten about in politics today, and that is the notion of objectivity. We live in times where we are almost preemptively told what to think by the powers that be that CNN or MSNBC or Nancy Pelosi or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Chuck Schumer or what have you. We've all been told that we need to pick sides beforehand, and therefore nothing the other side says has any merit or it's worth acknowledging in a positive light. And we saw that evidenced really by how the House chamber reacted to those key points that Eddie mentioned in the past. Even the one point you didn't mention was about Alice Marie Johnson, the African-American lady who was actually serving a life sentence for a nonviolent drug offense, who President Trump, he actually commuted his sentence. Side note, that was actually brought about in part by Kim Kardashian West, who would have thought we'd be talking about her in a political forum, but these are the times that we're in. But it was very interesting when there was very poignant moments where even Speaker Pelosi, right behind President Trump, she was checking her notes, or I don't know what she was doing behind him, but it really didn't look good. It's like, look, we understand you disagree with President Trump on certain things, but the State of the Union address has always been that one time when Americans should all walk away from it feeling invigorated that we do truly live in the best country on the face of this earth. And anything that a president tries to do in these speeches is meant to convey that notion. But true to form, after the State of the Union address, actually immediately after President Trump uttered his final words, the Democratic faction, a large portion of them, scuttled for the exits because they had another event to watch, which was Stacy Abrams delivering the Democratic rebuttal. I have an issue with these near instant rebuttals, mainly just because before the ink is even dried, or before the words have even been uttered, people are already coming up with ways to refute and diffuse whatever poignant moment the president was able to cultivate. So what we saw with Stacey Abrams was hammering the same talking points. Oh, this or that. I pressed voter. She even brought up voter registration, which I actually have a huge bone to pick with. We're not going to get into that too much in this episode because we do have more to talk about that in future videos. But the assertion is that requiring voter ID is somehow inherently racist. That infuriates me. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about it right now, but just so you know.
Oh, I have so many things to say. So many things to say.
These are the things that were brought up as a rebuttal. And I think that at the end of the day, if we could just have one night as a country, we can come together and say, you know what, America, we're doing okay. This is still the best country on the face of the earth. We love living here, and we believe that our citizens should come first. That should not be a revolutionary concept. But as we know, this is 2019 and anything is on the table. But we want to know is, what are your thoughts about the State of the Union address, about the Democratic rebuttal by Stacey Abrams? I'm sorry, failed Democratic candidate Stacey Abrams. What are your thoughts on that whole situation? We want to hear from you. We always say the only way to make free thought grading is by being willing to have the conversation. All we ask is that you contribute to that conversation and make your voice heard. We listen and we respond to those comments. We love engaging with our base. Oh, yeah. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to some of my buddies. Obviously, I gave a shout out a few episodes ago to Let's Be Frank, the YouTube channel. He's a fantastic guy. He's always on the news cycle. And also check out our friends over there at the Two Classy Gentlemen podcast. They're also producing great content. Check them out as well. But we appreciate y'all taking this time. We're going to go ahead and wrap this video up right now. Thank you for taking this time to join us once again. We know y'all have lots of things to do, and the fact you take time out of your day to actually spend it listening to us, just two guys passionate about politics, talking about it, we couldn't thank you enough for that. Feel free to check out our Facebook page, The Wright Brothers IPID, where you can engage with us on a much deeper level. Also, for those inclined to substantiate us with a financial donation through Patreon, we would be extremely honored if you would honor us and support us in this fashion. As many of you know, we are encountering massive, unprecedented censorship by YouTube for just speaking our minds and being conservatives. It's a terrible thing. But those of you who feel the need to donate, we appreciate y'all's largesse and y'all's generosity as well. But thank you once again for taking this time. And without further ado, thanks and gig 'em.
Thanks and gig 'em.
The first revolution is when you change your mind about how you look at things and see that there might be another way to look at it that you have not been shown. The revolution will not be televised, and be no rerun, brothers and sisters. The revolution will be live.